Hey, I'm Siobhan, and I love talking about all the things related to freedom and personal growth. And I'm on a journey to redefine freedom on my own terms as I become the woman I desire to be. Each week, I'll share in real time what I'm learning as I do my inner work while creating a safe space for my listeners to feel seen. If you desire to be free and live a life that feels good to you, then you're in the right place for beautiful conversations that's going to support you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to the Siobhan J. Middleton podcast. Now let's start the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of my podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan. What I do every single week is I share in real time how I am redefining freedom on my own terms. And my hope is that as you listen each week, you feel inspired to show up in your own life and decide what being free means to you, and then begin to live your life versus just existing in it and going through the motions. I ask that you share the episode with a friend. I ask that you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so that way you never miss an episode. And I would love for you to rate it on Apple Podcasts. That would be amazing because the more reviews that I get over there, the more visibility that I get, and that means the world to me. Today, I want to talk about how 18 years ago I became a mom. This past Monday, my firstborn turned 18 years old. And I've been having, mixed emotions about it because I'm like, where did the time go? I remember being pregnant. I remember finding out I was pregnant. I remember all the different parts of my journey of becoming a mom. I remember that I was very intentional about the type of birth that I wanted. I did not want an epidural. I wanted a midwife because I wanted a more personal experience. And I couldn't have asked for a better pregnancy and delivery. I had my daughter 18 years ago. It was actually Super Bowl Sunday. And I had her, I think, in 5.5 hours. It wasn't a long time at all. And I have the most beautiful picture of the first moment that I held her in my arms. And I remember the journey of it all, and I always wanted to be a mom, but there also was a fear of, would I be a good mom? And that was based on my childhood and the relationship that I had with my mother. That was a fear that I carried for a very long time. I will say that I loved being a mom. One of the things as I think about her life and just doing a lot of reflection is I was able to stay home with her the first 20 months of her life. And I was very present in everything that she did. And I remember joining Mocha Moms and other mom groups and going to the libraries to do their reading time. I was very present in her life. And when it was time for her to start school, being very active in the PTA and doing all the things. And then when I realized, and I've shared this in a podcast before, it was, I believe, in third grade, I noticed I didn't like the way the school system was structured, and I wanted to spend more time with my children. And also, I noticed the gift or the talent that she had. Very early on, she became an entrepreneur. She used to make pillows. She had a sewing machine, and she would sew the pillows, and then she would sell them. And to this day, there are people who still has her pillows, which is so sweet. But she's done a lot of entrepreneurial things. But the thing that she stuck with the most is being an artist. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But when I just think about our journey and what it took to get here, I'm so grateful for the relationship that we have. I will say it was a very difficult time between the ages of 12 to 16. It was difficult when it was time when she was ready to go back to traditional school. That was hard for me. And I think about all the seeds that I've planted and how I've nurtured and how I've done a lot of healing work so that I could be the best mom possible. And I look at our relationship today, and this is what hit me the other day that inspired this particular episode, is because I was driving and she had just went to work and I was just sending her a voice note. And my child has been reminding me that she was turning 18. Like, we've been talking about her birthday for months. But this particular Saturday, it hit me like, oh my goodness, my daughter is turning 18 years old. She is about to be a young adult. And I have raised her past the age that my mother stopped showing up for me. And I started crying because all these years, I'm like, am I giving her everything that she needs? And am I being the best mom that I can be for her? And then to see that she's 18 and I've done an amazing job as being her mom, and she's ready for this next chapter of her life. So as I look at the young woman that she has become, I adore her. I admire her. I look at her and I'm like, wow, like there's so many qualities about you that I wish I had as an adult, let alone as a teenager. And I've shared on the podcast several times at this point that her dream has always been to go to art college. I mean, she started researching colleges back when she was 12 or 13, making a list, going to the websites, like she was doing all the things. A little bit ago, maybe several years ago, we went to New York. And while we were there visiting friends, she said, I want to live here. And I'm like, you want to live in New York? I'm like, it stinks here. And it's so fast paced. And she was like, yes, I want to live here. Like, I feel like I'm at home here. And, you know, sometimes our kids say things and I don't know if you're like me, but you're like, oh, okay, whatever, fine. Well, fast forward to today, and she got accepted to 3 art colleges, one in Maryland, one here in Ohio, and the most prestigious college, which is in Brooklyn, New York. And that is where she's headed in the fall. And not only is she going there, but, you know, they have given her a 6-figure scholarship, which I am in awe. And I was telling her the other day, I said, you know, the thing that I have been teaching women all over the world for years and years, right? Because I started my company back in 2014. Talking and teaching and guiding on figuring out what your purpose is and what you're passionate about, and then going to live that. And my daughter, at 18 years old, she had one dream, and that was to go to art college. And not only did she get in, but she's moving to the state that she wants to live in. And she's going to the top art college. And as I think about the work that I've been doing, yes, I've been teaching women all over the world and now men about being free and living the life that you want. And all along, my daughter has been picking up these nuggets. And so she is pursuing her passion, what she loves, what she is phenomenal at doing at such a young age. And I'm like, I don't know anyone in my life who had a dream at such a young age and was able to pursue it without the craziness of the world, right? And so as I'm processing my big feelings of I now have an 18-year-old and what that looks like for us and our relationship, I'm most excited about her journey. Like, she gets to do her dream, like she gets to live out her dream. And what we've been talking about, I think leaving Ohio and moving to Brooklyn, like so much is about to expand for her. Like the world that she's about to experience, the life that she's about to live,
because she had a dream at such a young age. And now she gets to pursue it. And not only does she get to pursue it, but she's getting paid to do it. And I'm like, Siobhan, you've done a great job. Job well done. Like, and despite my upbringing and everything that I've experienced, I have broken the generational trauma where my child, number one, she won't have to live out the pain that I experienced because I'm done and I continue to do my healing work. But she also gets to pursue her dream and go live her life. And the first acceptance letter she received was for Cleveland Institute of Art. And we were so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh. And at that point, they had given her $88,000. And I'm like, okay, we got to go where the money is going. Whoever is giving you the most money, that's where you're going. And then I was like, wait a minute. That goes against everything that you teach. No, her dream is to relocate, is to leave the state. So even if the other schools don't give her any money, we have to help her get to her dream. And so I had made that decision early on. And then, she got accepted to the college in New York, and then also the one in Maryland. They also have given her a lot of money, and she's moving to Brooklyn. She graduates this upcoming May. In August, we will pack up my new car, right, and drive her down to, or up, however you say it, to New York. And I couldn't be more proud. And so I think about when I first became a mom and the fear that I had of doing a good job and knowing that what I experienced as a child, I didn't want to pass that on to my children. And the fact that I've been able to do my healing work, and my daughter and I have a very close relationship. Like, we are close. And the very thing that I wanted, I'm getting it all. And I'm grateful. I mean, I am grateful. And I'm having big feelings too, because this is a big, big, big transition for us. And this is my first child going to college. And I calculated, and it's going to be 7 hours and 11 minutes away. But she's going to be just fine. She's going to be more than fine. And I said it before, and I feel very strongly about this, that I have the Venus or Serena Williams of artists. Her work has been seen in several colleges. There has been exhibits done. She has illustrated a children's book. She has won so many awards that I've lost count. And this is just the beginning. And so I share my journey with my daughter because I want to inspire you that whatever your dream is, whatever you're passionate about, it's never, ever, ever too late. Ideally, I wish we all can, figure it out when we're teenagers. And that's okay if we don't. But today, as you listen to this episode, there's something stirring in you. There's something that fuels you and nourishes you. There's something that lights you up inside. And my hope is that you discover what that is in this lifetime. And whatever it takes, you do the work to fulfill your dream. And I'll share, right now, my dream is to grow my podcast, for it to reach millions of people worldwide, and to grow my newsletter list. Those are the two things that I'm really putting a lot of intention around right now. I have some projects that I am exploring and I'm going to be privately working on, but the dream now is to get brand partnerships for my podcast and begin to monetize it, and also to continue to write from a place of vulnerability and transparency. And I get to do that in my newsletters each week. And so I would love for you to subscribe to my newsletter, where every week I send out a newsletter and I kind of expand a little bit more on what I'm talking about on the podcast. And I share some of my favorite things that I think is worth sharing, music that I'm listening to, and a whole bunch of things. And so the link to subscribe is in the show notes, which is the description box under the podcast, wherever you're listening to it. And then also you can become a paid subscriber. And when you become a paid subscriber, you're basically helping me and contributing to my daughter as we're preparing for art college. Every little bit counts. And, we still have to do all the things to prepare her to get there. And so it helps with that and just supporting my work in general. And you'll also get monthly journal prompts, and we'll have a private discussion where we can kind of chat about what's coming up. And of course, you'll get the newsletter. And so I would love for you to contribute in any capacity that you decide. The monthly rate to subscribe and be a paid subscriber to the newsletter is less than what you would pay for lunch, really. So, and all the support is deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated. Be sure that you're subscribed to my podcast. Again, anywhere that you tune in, I would love for you to rate and review it. And then share the episode with a friend. Share it with your teen. Share it with someone and say, hey, let's talk about our dreams, and just start to have conversation. If you're inspired by today's episode, I would love for you to treat me to a cup of coffee or 2 or 3 or 4. That link is in the show notes as well. And every support is deeply appreciated, whether you share my work, whether you become a subscriber to my newsletter or a paid subscriber, subscribing to the podcast, rating the podcast, following me on Instagram and TikTok. All of that matters, and I'm deeply grateful for you. Sending you so much love and light. Until next time.